Hello everyone, we are Group 1 for the Cross Globalization and Business. Our group members include Yunzi Chen Christie,
Joaquin Góis,
Claire Néron, Natalie Stark,
Shao Mingzhe.
Today we are going to present the Project 1. The industry we chose for this project is international courier service. Starting from 100 years ago, courier service already exists. People deliver items by manpower and animals, then deliver food, ship, and rail. From the late 20th century on, the courier service providers tend to use airplane for delivering items since the cost of air transportation is much lower than before. It encourages cross-country business activities as air transportation is much faster than the other shipping methods. Since e-business is rising in recent years, some online shops use international courier service to ship their products worldwide in order to expand the market of their business. This is a turning point for the industry. The courier service providers used to deliver B2B items, but now they are processing more B2C and C2C products. Therefore, some of them modify their service for individual customers. For this project, we are focusing on 3 of the biggest companies in the industry, which are DHL, FedEx, and UPS. Now we will move on to the competitive forces.
The main suppliers of courier industry are transportation equipment manufacturing, energy, and warehousing. These 3 suppliers are powerful because they are not heavily dependent on the courier industry for its revenues. What's more, switching costs for the firms are high. If the firm would like to change suppliers, they need to pay much more for the change. Among these 3 suppliers, energy is the most powerful supplier because oil is a real resource and there are few enterprises operating the industry, which may lead to monopoly. However, the courier industry has more choices on other 2 suppliers, for there are many enterprises operating transportation equipment manufacturing, and international cooperation with convenient transportation can find inventory all around the world. Consumers and buyers of courier industry are individuals or big enterprises. Standing on a consumer's point of view, they hope to get better and more convenient service in a lower price. There are 4 reasons explaining why consumers are so powerful. First, because of serious competition in courier industry, substitutes are available to consumers. Besides, buyers have low switching costs in changing service suppliers. What's more, consumers refuse to pay for service without differences, and they will try different enterprises to find change and innovation. Finally, consumers are usually well educated and they can distinguish the level of service correctly. The performance of powerful buyers is that they can force down price. They can also ask for lower price and better service, which will lead to serious competition among suppliers. To reduce the bargaining power of buyers, the courier industry should find cheaper inventory and choose proper type of transportation to maximize the efficiency and profit. Meanwhile, the courier industry should focus on exploiting market all around the world and pay more attention to innovation to provide different types of service.
We will now move on to the threat of new entrants. The threat of new entrants within the international courier services is low. This is because entry and exit barriers for the courier services are very high as a result of high costs and investment required for infrastructure and equipment when entering the international courier services industry, and would unlikely be successful due to the existing leading competitors. If a new company is to enter, it is either likely to fail or there is the increasing possibility of a larger company to acquire it. When looking at the threat of substitute products and services, advances in technology, specifically the internet, is the major substitute that poses a threat. The worldwide expansion of the internet has both benefited and hindered the international courier services. Individuals and businesses can now use email, Skype, fax machines, and other forms of communication via the internet as a substitute to postal courier services. Additionally, the delivery of books can be substituted by electronic downloads. However, the internet is a threat of substitution is relatively low, as the internet cannot substitute services such as package delivery through air freight and road freight services. Additionally, the companies can use the advances of technology to their advantage because they can benefit from high-tech tools, access to more data, and an increase in efficiency. Additionally, some of the leading competitors, including UPS and FedEx, now offer electronic delivery. The last force we will examine is the degree of rivalry among existing competitors. The degree of rivalry within the international courier services is very high. The industry is dominated by three main competitors: FedEx, UPS, and DHL. The rivalry between these companies is very high because they all offer near to identical services and provide little service differentiation, and most costs are fixed as the switching costs are low. Consumers can easily switch between companies as they will receive the identical service from another competitor. Thus, there is high levels of competition in order to maintain and increase their market share. The companies undertake non-price competition strategies to maintain their market share and brand loyalty, the main strategy being continuous advertising. Additionally, companies are continuously attempting to expand and increase their market share through acquisitions of smaller firms within the industry.
We will now present the pest analysis. Since international courier services include the transportation of the goods through airline and by sea, political rules and regulations are to be followed. The political factors that should be closely analyzed by the companies are political stability, trade regulations and tariffs related to services, antitrust laws related to air delivery and freight services, pricing regulations, and finally taxation. Regarding political stability, there are countries that the company might find too risky to operate in, such as Syria or Iraq, where political and even social instability damages seriously operations and it is impossible to predict the day after and the new rules in the market. When it comes to trade regulations and tariffs, the companies in the referred sector should bear in mind the possible trade restrictions, for example, importing tariffs or quotas that might decrease the expected business volume. There are countries where the government rules a big portion of the transportation companies, so the risk of monopoly in this sector is considerable. This way, as there might be no competition or the existing one is extremely little, there is the risk that the government decides to increase costs when it comes to air delivery or of imported products. Another major issue that must be taken into account by courier services company is the possible control of prices or any pricing regulatory mechanism that might be used by local authorities when it comes to services, energy or even rent control. Finally, the taxation level as well as the existence of incentives influences strongly the consumption levels of a population and as a consequence impacts the volume of activity of the distribution companies. The macro and micro environment factors such as economic growth rate, infrastructure quality, economic system, foreign exchange rate, and economic cycle determine aggregate demand and aggregate investment in the economy, as well as the competitive advantage of the firm. This way, the type of economic system in countries of operation, liberalism or protectionism, and how stable it is, plays a big role when evaluating places where to operate. Concerning exchange rates and stability of host currency, companies that operate globally should specially take attention to the issue, as a currency with high levels of volatility can violently impact the results of companies. Infrastructure quality in air delivery and freight services industry is also an extremely important economic factor to consider. The time it takes to deliver the order as well as the costs associated with it depend a lot from country to country. The business cycle stage, prosperity, recession, recovery of an economy also determines if the activity of a firm in that country is likely or not to be successful as level of consumption are affected. Finally, the economic growth rate of an economy is undoubtedly the major economic factor when deciding whether to start operating or not in a country, as imports are dependent on the economic situation of each country.
Regarding the technological factors, technology has a high impact on the international courier industry due to its constant advancement. Indeed, for all the companies in this sector, having the latest technologies is a crucial competitive point. That's why companies invest a lot in research and development in order to offer a better service to the consumer. Furthermore, new technologies such as the use of big data and operation optimization softwares are replacing manual work and then consequently reduce the number of employees in the industry. Thus, the new technologies impact on value chain structure in this sector. In addition, the emergence of e-commerce across the world these past years made huge opportunities to increase the activities and to reach a bigger audience. Into all the industries, retailers want to expand their operations to include online shopping. Nevertheless, it makes also an open door to new competitors with innovative logistic approaches such as Uber or Amazon. Moreover, the international courier industry sector is directly related to the transport sector and then its technological innovations. Thus, the courier service company have to be aware of the recent technological development by Forward Air Corporation, maritime transportation, and land transport and take advantages of it in order to reach new audience with more global offers and to stay competitive. Regarding the social factors, social and cultural factors affect the organization of the international courier sector. Understand the beliefs, habits, and attitude of a society is a main factor for a company to design an efficient marketing strategy with the right target and message. Indeed, it is more interesting to operate in populated countries because it's where there are the more consumers that require this service. That's why North America is the main market, but Asia, Europe, and Latin America are being targeted for the industry growth. China and India are seen as favorable markets because of their fast emerging consumer classes. The industry is addressed to an high consumption society with an elevated leisure interest, entrepreneurial spirit, and broader nature of the society. In this sector, companies require an education level for its employees with different constraints related to the responsibilities of the job. Political, religious, and social conventions can also affect the gender equity into the industry. Indeed, there is a very low percentage of women pilots in the world. In addition, in some less developed and poor countries, women are less willing to reach manual or high-qualified jobs. The different companies have to adapt their services to meet the needs of demands of all the countries. Thus, the marketing campaign have to be adapted to the different target market.
Compare and choose the best one for them. Since then, how to balance between low price to attract customers and maximize profit is the biggest thing that the companies need to concern. If they can take the threats as an opportunity, they are able to survive in this changing business world. This is the end of our presentation. Thank you for watching.